Hello everyone, welcome to another video, and today I join you from behind the camera because today I'm going to talk about all of my outboard gear and how I incorporated everything with the new studio rack that I just got. So kind of go over how I've got everything patched in and what I use it for, and you've seen a lot of this in previous videos, but I've never actually talked about it, and I've never really put out like a dedicated video talking about the gear that I've got in the rack here. So first off, let's start at the very top. This actually isn't in the rack, it's just sitting on top of the rack, but this is my Cranborn Audio 500 ADAT 500 series chassis. It's got 8 slots, and this is really great because, as it says in the name, this hooks up via ADAT. So this gives me up to 8 extra channels. I'm actually only using 7 now because of this, which we'll get into. But it gives me 8 extra channels and doesn't take up any of the built-in channels, the kind of like hardwired TRS input and output channels on my interfaces. So this gives me some extra flexibility with preamps and miking and stuff. So we'll talk about everything everything that's in this rack, and we'll start from the left and go to the right, starting with these. I've got a pair of these Cranborn Audio preamps here, the Camden preamps, and they're designed to be extremely clean preamps. They're quite affordable. I think they're like $300 or something like that, maybe $350, but they're quite affordable. But they've got this really cool feature here, which is this Mojo knob. And then we've got this switch, which is kind of the style of saturation. So what this does is it's a really clean preamp, like I said, but it gives you a lot of extra saturation with that circuit. So, you know, you can have a super clean preamp, but you can also crank this on and you can get a much warmer sound. There's 2 styles here. One of them kind of emulates like transformer style saturation, and the other one is like tube style saturation. So very cool, but there's a lot of options here. We've got a built-in high pass filter, which is really useful. We've got a phase switch, polarity, the gain knob, which is stepped. And then we've got 48-volt phantom, and the input type here. So this can actually do high Z, which is in this jack right here. It's also mic and line. So I generally have it on mic because I use these as mic preamps, but I can also run line level signals into these, which is really handy. And then crank up the Mojo on these and run like a 2-bus through it or something like that. Very, very handy for kind of coloring source a little bit if something is a little bit sterile sounding or what have you. So very, very handy with that. All right, so next up we have my Chandler TG2 500s, a pair of these as well. These I really, really like. They are really, really good sounding preamps, and they're modeled exactly off of the old EMI TG12345 desk. The Mark, is it the Mark 2 or 3 or something like that? One of those desks. Basically, it's modeled after the preamps in those. And those did, you know, the Beatles' Abbey Road stuff, the Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon stuff. And yeah, really, really good sounding preamps, transformer coupled input and output. We've got different impedances here. So we've got 1200 ohm and 300 ohm on these, which is handy. We've got the regular coarse gain switch here. And then we've got the fine gain and then the output. So this is kind of like the fader on the console, and you can really dial in the sound You know, if you want a bit more saturation, you kind of crank this up, turn this down a little bit, you know, and you got a lot of saturation, and then you can turn up the output to however you need it. Really, really good sounding. They don't have a ton of gain, but definitely enough for sources like guitars, drums, whatever. These sound really great on pretty much anything: guitar, bass, vocals, drums, you name it. I mean, these things sound really, really nice. It's kind of like a Neve-ish sound, I would say, but I don't know, a little bit sweeter in the top end, perhaps, and just a little bit of a different vibe with these. But they're really, really cool. They're definitely their own thing. We've got 48 volt on the bottom here, and then we've got a phase switch here as well. All right, moving on to the next pair. So these are A-Design's P1s. These are really simple. We've got DI in, and we've got 48 volt pad, phase, and then the gain switches. Or gain knobs, I should say. So very simple setup. I really like these for rooms, drum overheads. They have like a high frequency lift to them. These are transformer coupled input and output as well. So they definitely do have a little bit of character, but definitely cleaner sounding than the TG2s here. But these are, I would say, a bit more hi-fi in the sound signature. So like I said, there's a little bit of like an upper frequency lift, and it feels like there's a little bit of like a really low frequency lift as well, whereas these is more like low mids. This is more kind of like low lows, a little bit of a lift in the low lows and the high highs. Otherwise, they're actually fairly clean sounding, really, really nice sounding preamps. Like I said, drum overheads, room mics. I haven't tried them on electric guitars yet, but I bet they'd sound nice there too. Vocals can be nice because of that high frequency lift. It's definitely good at adding a little bit of presence and sparkle to a vocal. So I do enjoy those for that application as well. Moving on to the last piece, we've got the Great River MP500NV. I think I got that model right. It just rolls off the tongue. So this is a double wide slot, so I'm actually only utilizing 7 of the 8 channels of this, but that's okay. This is a Neve-esque preamp. So input and output transformers again, but these are solder transformers, I believe, inside, whereas the Neve stuff is generally Carnhill, St. Ives, or like Marinair transformers. So slightly different sound. The solder stuff seems to be a little bit cleaner. So this is basically like a Neve, but a little bit cleaner, a bit more polished sounding. Yeah, just very, very, very versatile preamp here. This thing sounds great on pretty much anything. Yeah, you name it. This has a lot of options here. As you see, we got the high Z input. I really, really like this on bass DI. This is my favorite bass DI. It sounds really, really good. There's something about it. It's full, it's round, it's warm, but it's also detailed, and there's clarity to it. It's just a really, really good DI on this. So if I'm running bass DI, I will often run through this unless I need to run through something like a compressor or whatever on the way in, but I will run through this a lot. So really great DI on this. We've got the stepped gain knob here, as well as the output calibration, so that's always nice to have. And then we've got these buttons here. The loading here is, I think it's just like a different loading on the transformers, maybe. This is an impedance switch, so different impedance levels to get a little bit of different tone out of certain mics. We've got phantom power, of course, and then polarity or phase, which is pretty standard. So good to have if you're miking like bottom snare, bottom tom, something like that, an out of phase source. Other than that, the rack has a lot of really nice routing options here. I think it's got like a built-in summing mixer, so really, really handy. Yeah, this gets utilized quite a bit for extra sources and whatever I want to use this for. So I've got a lot of extra different preamp flavors at my disposal. But let's move down into the actual rack. All right, so moving down in the rack, the first thing is we've got my Furman power conditioner here. Very, very important. It's got the lights on it, which is cool, with a little dimmer switch, and then the main power here. It's an older one, the PL8. It doesn't have any like display readout in the middle like some of the newer ones have, which is okay. But it does the job. It does filter the power, and it gives me 8 outlets on the back of it. So very handy, definitely essential for the rack. What can you say? It's a power conditioner. Next up, we've got my DBX 160A here. This right now is kind of semi-permanently patched into my kick-in microphone. I find this really, really nice for kick drum. I've used it for snare as well, but I really like it on the kick-in. It evens out the dynamics, but it also adds just a little bit of character, a little bit of vibe going in. So that is what I use that for. And this is just a very simple 3 knobs. You know, it's a DBX 160, so they've always been, pretty simple compressors. Moving down, so you'll see that the needle here is moving. I'm actually running through this right now. This is my retro stay level tube compressor. So this is a really, really nice big boy compressor. Really, really vibey sounding. Just adds a lot of character, tubes, transformers, blah, blah, blah. Not the fastest compressor in the world. I've got it on the double here, and the recovery time is set almost all the way up, as I like to do for vocals and stuff. But yeah, this is very, very good on vocals and bass particularly. That's what I use it mostly for. But I have used this for room mics, and it is also really, really good in that application. I like that too. It adds a lot of just really meaty tone to the room mic. It can really squash if you crank this thing really hard and put a lot of input into it. So yeah, as of now, we're running fairly light compression here. Mostly just running here through, running signal through here for the tone more than anything. But really, really great piece. This is modeled after an old 50s radio broadcast compressor. The stay level was an old broadcast unit from the 50s, 60s, and Retro Instruments kind of reissued it and rebuilt it, I guess, in a way. This is essentially a clone of that compressor. So if you look back at old pictures of that compressor, it looks very, very similar. It does not have the triple mode on the original one. It's just single and double, I think. So there's a couple extra options on the newer one, which is always nice to see. But that's that. And yeah, let's move down a little further. Okay, so next section of the rack here, we've got kind of the heart and soul of everything is the interfaces. But first, we'll talk about this, which is my Focusrite ISA 2. This is a 2-channel preamp. The ISA line is really nice. The ISA console is a really, really cool console, kind of like the last really awesome, great, like analog age consoles that was released. This thing was like the Cadillac of consoles, designed in conjunction with Sir George Martin of Beatles fame. And not many of these were made. I don't remember how many were made, but it was not a lot of them. They're quite rare. It's kind of like the Trident stuff, quite rare. But these had really awesome like wraparound ergonomics and tons of channels. But these were also, I believe, built by Rupert Neve. And Focusrite has basically reissued these years and years ago, but you can still buy them. The ISA line, basically a copy of the circuit of the preamp from that console. So really, really good. I don't think it actually has input transformers, but it does have an output transformer, which supposedly was handpicked by Rupert Neve himself, blah, blah, blah. So they're definitely cleaner sounding. Lot of gain in these. These go up to, I think, 80 dB of gain. So it's a lot of gain. Yeah, just a really, really great all-around preamp. Like I said, it's a little cleaner, but it does still have some character and really pushes sources like dynamic mics and stuff like that if you need the extra gain. So starting on the left, we have got 2 DI inputs, one for each channel, which is nice. We've got a ton of impedance options on each channel here. Yeah, there's the ISA 110, which is kind of the original impedance of the original preamp built into the console. And then we've got low, medium, and high, which I don't remember what impedances those are exactly, but they also are kind of tonal shaping options, which is fun. We've got this knob here, which kind of sets the gain range of the preamp with the trim. Input, mic, line, and instrument. So obviously you do instrument for the DI, and then microphone for a microphone, and line if you're doing a line level source. So that's very cool, as you can run line level sources through these as well and affect the sound however you like. Like I said, we've got the trim knob here, and then this is a smooth variable high pass filter, which is very cool. So you engage that with the switch there, and then these also have inserts. There is nothing connected to this at the moment for inserts. It's just going straight into the interfaces, but these are great for if you want some cleaner sounding overhead preamps. These work great for that. These are also really nice for room mics on guitars and drums. And I've also used them on vocals as well. If you want a little bit of a cleaner sound, just, yeah, really, really solid preamps. And they're not terribly expensive. I think they had a price jump recently, but 2 channels, I think, for like $800 is what I paid for this. So brand new. I think they're like $500 per channel now, but yeah, still a pretty decent deal. All right, so the interfaces. So on the top here, you can see that I am hooked up to input 3 on the Apollo X6 here, but this is an Apollo X6. This is the Thunderbolt 3 version. So standard Apollo, we've got, the high Z inputs here, the unison preamps, which I'm not actually using at the moment, the standard switches, the layout, 2 headphone jacks, power, and I mean, what can you say? They're Apollos. They're great. I really, really like these. I bought both of these used, actually, separately off Reverb, because the new ones are just so expensive. But these are really nice preamps in here with the unison pre's. You can get a lot of different flavors with the UA plugins. So really, really solid. The conversion is great. The clocking is great. Just, yeah, overall amazing sounding interfaces. And I've got it paired down here as the, so this is the main unit, monitoring unit, and then this is the expansion unit. So this is an older generation Thunderbolt 2 interface. So I've got the Thunderbolt 2 to 3 adapter going into the Apollo X6 on the top, but that is an older Apollo 8 quad. So I've got 8 channels on that, plus 6 channels on the top. So it gives me 14 channels total. And again, basically same layout. You've got the 2 high Z inputs, the preamp knob, all the selections for that, main display, and then monitor, which is not used on this one, and then the 2 headphone jacks and power on the right side. So these have been powering my studio setup for a few months now, maybe about 6 months or so, and I really, really like them. I'm really enjoying using them, and the UA plugins are amazing. You know, in my opinion, they make some of the best plugins in the industry. Really, really nice. So what I particularly like about these is that you can record through the plugins on the way in and track through plugins, which is really great. You can't really do that with any other platforms to my knowledge. So that is a really handy thing to have as well. So move on to the final piece in the rack. Okay, last but certainly not least, we have my latest addition here, which is a pair of Warm Audio WA412 mic preamps. I have actually yet to test these because I only installed them in the rack a couple days ago and I just haven't had a chance yet. But these are old API 312 recreations from Warm. I was going to go with originally, you know, the API stuff, or potentially the Cappy stuff because I really like that as well. Check those out. It's like Classic Audio Products of Illinois if you want really, really nice API style preamps. But that's another option. But these were actually on sale at the time and they were significantly cheaper. I could get a pair of these for less money than I could get a single API 3124V. So quite good value for money. We'll see how good they sound, but they seem to get very good reviews. These were actually released 10 years ago, I think, this year. So they've been around for quite a while, but they are still a really good option, I think, for someone, especially for drums. I really like the API style on drums. So we've got input gain. We've got a output attenuator here, which is always handy to have, especially these old API like 312 style circuits tend to be really hot. So yeah, they tend to kind of overload very easily. So having that additional feature there with the gain is very handy indeed, and something I consider a necessity on these types of circuits. The original API consoles didn't need that because they had the fader on the console, which was an inline fader, and it was a second gain stage essentially. But these definitely need that. So then we've got a lot of options here. We've got 48 volt tone switch, which is the impedance basically. Polarity. We've got a pad, and then we've got the high Z for the built-in high Z inputs on the front of all of these. So, and power switch on the front, which I really, really like, because then you don't have to go digging behind the rack to turn them on and off. Front power switches, I'm a big fan. So yeah, that is it for the rack. I can do a full studio tour in the future if you guys want to see that. But for now, very excited to start working with these Warm preamps. I will be working on a full video for that with a backing track and running these through their paces and giving you guys all of the audio examples that these can capture. So I will move on to one last thing, which is not in the rack itself, but also what you have been hearing this entire video. Okay, and finally we've got the BAE 1073 DMP preamp, which is what you've been hearing me through this whole video. So not in the rack because obviously it's a desktop mic preamp, which is what DMP stands for. But yeah, very handy. We've got the inputs and outputs right on the front here. We've got a bunch of options here. So it might be hard to see, but we've got a DI in, we've got a DI through, and then a through to. So that's actually very handy. You can do like a DI signal and then add one or both of these out to one or multiple amps. So you can basically record simultaneously with the microphone and the DI, which is great. So you can kind of blend those signals after the fact if you want, or you can choose one or the other in the mix when it comes time, just to see maybe the amp sounds better in the mix, maybe the DI sounds better in the mix, etc. So output knob, the classic Marconi gain knob here, Neve style, obviously. We've got polarity, and we've got 48 volt, which is not engaged because I am using a dynamic mic, which does not need phantom power. And then the power switch is in the back, but it's easily accessible. I can just kind of reach back there and grab it. But this is really great, really solid piece, very portable, obviously, and it sounds really, really good. I really love how this thing sounds, and it's technically has 71 dB of gain, but this always sounds like it's got more gain than that, and I've never really been able to figure that out. If you guys know, let me know in the comments, but it's got 71 dB of gain, but it feels like it's hotter than that. So that is that preamp, obviously transformer coupled on the inputs and the outputs, classic sound, Neve 1073 sound. You really can't beat it. I use this a lot for vocals and bass primarily, but I've also used it for electric guitar. Sounds great. Drums sounds great there as well, particularly snare drum. I really like it on snare. But yeah, really great. Classic circuit. BAE is an amazing company. Really, really solid piece. Built like a tank. Yeah, one of my favorite preamps that I have in my arsenal. So that is it for today. Again, expect that full review and video on the Warm Audio WA412 preamps. I will be working on that. May not be next week, but that will be coming down the pipeline. So any questions about any of the gear you see in this video, please put it down in the comments, and I will do my best to answer those questions. Please like and subscribe if you would like, if you enjoyed the video and enjoy the content, and I will see you next time.